With the American League Division Series being fully sorted out as Detroit upsets Houston and they will play Cleveland on Saturday, while the Royals upset the Orioles and they will play the Yankees on Saturday. This is everything you need to know heading into that Yankees-Royals series. What's going on, guys? It's the King of 161st Street. I'm back with another video, and the Kansas City Royals made the Orioles look average. That series was over before it even started, and it all came down to pitching. There were no run scoring on either side. In game one, the only run that was scored was a Bobby Witt 2-out single that drove in a runner from third. Royals win it 1-0. Game two, the Royals get an early run off of a Vinny Pasquantino single. Cedric Mullins gets an RBI. Then Bobby Witt Jr. again hits a ground ball up the middle. Second baseman Jordan Westberg had a play at second base, decided not to take it and instead throw it to first from his ass, bounced it twice. Bobby Witt Jr. was running 31 feet per second and he makes it, scoring the run from third, and that is your final. The biggest takeaway from this series was how bad the Baltimore Orioles bats were, and that is in part credit to how well the Royals were pitching. Cole Ragans in game one looked absolutely unhittable. He scares me the most out of that Royals pitching staff. Yankees have struggled mightily against left-handed starters, and he just showed that he's one of the best left-handed starters in the entire league. His pitch mix is nasty. He's able to get that fastball up there. He is a terrifying pitcher to face. And in game one, you saw how devastating that bullpen can be, especially with their new acquired closer in Lucas Erceg. Lucas Erceg looked virtually unhittable. His fastball going 100 with life is one of the nastier fastballs I've seen this year. This Royals pitching staff is dangerous, and the Yankees are going to have to break through at some point. Now, here's the bright side if you're a Yankees fan. Game one, you are not seeing any of the top two guys. It will be Michael Wacha versus Garrett Cole. And although Michael Wacha is a veteran, he's been there before, he's won World Series, he's a good pitcher. The Yankees should be taking Michael Wacha very seriously. The bright side is he's no Seth Lugo and he's no Cole Ragans. So in game one, that is a must-win game. You got to jump out to an early lead. You do not want to let the Royals get to Lucas Erceg late in that game, or it may be curtains. Another thing that could be a huge bright side for the New York Yankees is how limited the Royals look offensively. One of their better hitters is coming back from injury this postseason in Vinny Pasquantino, but he still hasn't looked 100%. And outside of him, Bobby Witt and Salvador Perez, you're getting little production out of the rest. Tommy Pham, he's a postseason hitter. He has not shown that to date. And the bottom of their order has been lackluster at best. One thing you know about the Yankees is that we're going to score. When you have Judge and Soto in the lineup, along with now having a supporting cast of Austin Wells, Jazz Chisholm, Gleyber Torres becoming one of the better leadoff hitters of the second half, the Yankees are going to put up runs. And the Royals just proved against a lackluster bullpen, one above average starter and one possible Cy Young Award winning starter, they are not well equipped to score runs in the postseason. They ran into a team that was decimated with injury, but also a team that virtually choked. The Baltimore Orioles choked. Let's be very clear about that. Gunnar Henderson didn't show up. Santander did not show up. The only real hitter that showed up in that series is Cedric Mullins, a player they were thinking about trading at the deadline. That's a very telling thing. A team that was so highly touted, absolutely shitting the bed. And the Royals were on the good end of that. But if they were not going up against a team like Baltimore that completely choked, I don't know if Kansas City is even here. If they go up against Detroit, they're probably out. Kansas City did not score enough for you to be saying, we have to win this game. That's where the Yankees have to take advantage. You have Gerrit Cole on the mound in game 1. We're hoping he's going to show, and he should. You have Carlos Rodon in game 2. Game 2 is really the swing game. If we can win game 2 off of a win in game 1, I would like our chances going to Kansas City to finish it off. But this series is a dangerous one. There's a lot of people out there that are basically punching the Yankees ticket to the ALCS. I would say hold your horses. Bobby Witt Jr. is still one of the best players in Major League Baseball. You still have Salvador Perez, who, yes, looked vulnerable in that Baltimore series, was chasing a lot, but he's still a decorated catcher with World Series winning experience. That's something that I fear. But again, their offensive inconsistencies balance out my fear. Do I think the Yankees should win this series? Yes. Do I think it's a foregone conclusion? No. The Yankees have some issues of their own. Starting off with game 2, Carlos Rodon has to be on. He has to mix his pitches, and he just has to execute. Carlos Rodon has had such a topsy-turvy season. One moment he looks like he's back to 2022 Carlos Rodon. Other times he looks like 2023 Carlos Rodon. At times he's mixing his pitches really well, and he's shutting hitters down because he's finally using a changeup along with his slider fastball combo. Other times he's going 80% fastball and giving up 8 runs in an inning. We need that switch to be flipped for Carlos Rodon. And the second half of the season gives me a bit of confidence that he will. Then there's game 3. Who do you start? There's really 2 options. You're either going Luis Gil or you're going Clarke Schmidt. The argument for both, Luis Gil has had the highest highs really out of this entire pitching staff. But on the contrary, he's had probably the 3rd lowest of the lows. I would probably put Stroman and Rodon as having lower lows than Luis Gil. But Luis Gil at times has looked shaky. He at times can't find the zone. In a playoff game, that is dangerous. You cannot give certain teams, especially with the speed of Kansas City, we cannot be giving them too many free passes. Well, then you go to Clarke Schmidt. This year has kind of turned his season around. At the start of the season, he looked good, but he could only go 4 to 5 innings. Coming down to June, July-ish, he started putting together a string of starts where he'd go 6+, and he looked like a legitimate starter. Then was put on the shelf for 2 months, and now is starting to come back. Does he have it fully yet? And also, his highs are not as high as Luis Gil. Luis Gil at times this year has struck out over 15 batters. That is completely absurd. But also, Clarke Schmidt has not seen the lows that Luis Gil has had. So are you going for the higher floor or are you going for the higher ceiling in game 3? And to me, I would go Luis Gil. I love the talent that is Luis Gil. I said in a past video that I would love to see Luis Gil become a closer for this postseason run if the Yankees do not trust him. But rest assured, I still believe in Luis as a starter. And his last few starts did not look great. The one in Oakland, he got screwed. Let's be honest. He gave up 2 runs early, settled down tremendously. Then in the 6th inning, with 1 out, had 1st and 2nd. Aaron Boone would not let him work himself out of that inning. Gave the ball to Ian Hamilton. Since coming off of injury, has been very up and down. And Ian Hamilton gives up a gap shot that gives up both runs. That makes it a 4-run game. Makes his start look bad if you're just looking at the box score. But that Oakland start was a really good start. Yes, his last start against Pittsburgh in game 162 really looked shitty. No ways about it. He gave up 5 home runs. It was ridiculous. But that is a one-off start. Luis Gil usually does not give up hard contact. How he gives up runs in bunches is with the walk. If he can limit the walks, he can limit the power. With a Kansas City team that has shown an inability to hit for power at times this year, especially in the 2-game set in the wild card series, that's the pitcher I want on the mound. I want the pitcher that can strike you the hell out and can give you dominance. Because an upside start for Luis Gil, he can go 6 with no runs and then hand it off to a stout bullpen that would hopefully be rested because Gerrit Cole went deep and Carlos Rodon gave you what we expected. With Clarke Schmidt, I don't trust that he doesn't give up 3 earned through the 5 to 6 inning. Yeah, he'll look good in those 5-6. And I won't say he'll have a bad start, but again, the higher ceiling is with Luis Gil. And especially if we're up 2-0, I would love that higher ceiling. If this series is somehow 1-1 going to Kansas City, I would think harder about going Clark Schmidt. If it's a must-win game and you need to just stay in it, Clark Schmidt might be your guy because, again, Luis Gil's floor is a little bit lower than where Clark's is. So there's a few things the Yankees really have to figure out, along with who's going to set up for Luke Weaver to close. Because it can't be Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes has still struggled, even though he's coming out as a setup man. Ian Hamilton, like I said, he's been very up and down. Jake Cousins still isn't back, 15-day IL. So there's a lot of questions out of that bullpen right now. The only way we get answers is seeing it on the field. But overall, I am feeling pretty confident about this series. I'm not getting my hopes too high because Kansas City is a great ball club. This is going to be a fun series. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. If you're new here, hit that sub button. I'm out of here. Take care and peace.